So if you've ever really pushed yourself in a workout, you know that feeling, right? The one that hits you the next day or maybe even the day after. It's that deep ache in your muscles. But what if one of the biggest keys to a smoother recovery is a mineral that most of us completely overlook?
Oh yeah, we've all been there. You hit a new PR, you feel amazing, and then you wake up, and just getting out of bed feels like a monumental task. That feeling, that intense hobble-around-the-house soreness, is exactly what we're going to break down today.
You know, that ache actually has a name. And understanding what it is, well, that's the first step to beating it. It's called delayed onset muscle soreness, but pretty much everyone just calls it DOMS.
What's so wild about DOMS is the timeline. It's not instant. It kind of sneaks up on you, about 12 to 24 hours later. Then it hits its absolute peak 2 or 3 days after you've worked out, and it can stick around for almost a week. It's your body telling you it's getting stronger, sure, but man, it can really mess up your next training session. So what is actually happening in your body to cause that much pain? For the longest time, we all thought we knew the answer, but it turns out the real story is a little more complicated.
We've all heard about the micro tears in your muscle fibers, and yeah, that's part of it. But the actual soreness you feel, that's way more about your body's chemical response. The real issue is that your nerves get hypersensitive after you've pushed them hard.
Think of these chemicals as the messengers that just flip on the pain switch in your body. Bradykinin then kicks off that first wave of pain and swelling. But then, these other guys, NGF and GDNF, they show up and basically act like amplifiers, telling your nerves to stay on high alert. They keep that pain signal going for days. So the big takeaway here is this. The ache is less about the physical damage and way more about this intense chemical pain party happening in your muscles. And this is where our hero finally enters the picture. If the problem is about chemistry, then we need a chemical solution, right? Well, meet magnesium. It's a mineral that is absolutely crucial for how your muscles work and, as we're about to see, for how they recover.
And this number, 300 plus, shows you just how big of a deal it is. Magnesium is involved in over 300 different essential reactions in your body. We're talking energy production, building new protein, nerve function, and, most importantly for us, muscle contraction and relaxation.
Here's the easiest way to think about it. Inside your muscles, calcium and magnesium are like a light switch. Calcium is the on switch. It flows in and tells the muscle, okay, contract, squeeze. Magnesium is the off switch. It comes in, kicks the calcium out, and tells the muscle, all right, you can relax now. If you don't have enough magnesium, it's like that off switch is faulty. Your muscles can get stuck, leading to that tightness, those cramps, and those awful spasms.
But here's the problem. A huge number of us aren't getting anywhere near enough. About 2/3 of adults are falling short of their daily magnesium needs. And get this, 1 out of every 5 people is getting less than half of what they should. That means, for a lot of us, that muscle off switch just isn't working right, which could be why recovery takes forever and the soreness feels so much worse.
Okay, so the theory makes a ton of sense, but what happens when scientists actually put it to the test? Let's check out the research and see what the evidence says. This is from a study on college-age adults. A 1 to 2 point drop on a 6-point scale? That's a huge deal. That's the difference between wincing every time you have to sit down and actually feeling pretty good and ready to go again. And look, they didn't just feel less sore. They said their overall recovery was way, way better. And it's not just a one-off thing. When researchers did a huge review looking at a bunch of different studies all at once, they found the same pattern over and over again. People taking magnesium had less soreness, they felt like they recovered faster, and, this is the really cool part, their blood tests actually showed less physical muscle damage.
This is so effective that it's even been studied in pro athletes. You're looking at professional cyclists and basketball players who took 400 milligrams of magnesium every day during their brutal seasons, and the researchers found it had a real protective effect on their muscles, helping shield them from the damage of all that intense work.
And this chart just shows it so clearly. This was from a study on pro cyclists during a crazy 21-day race. The group that didn't take magnesium saw this massive spike in something called myoglobin. That's a protein that basically leaks out of damaged muscle. But the group that took magnesium, their levels were so much lower. It shows that the magnesium was literally helping to hold their muscle cells together under all that stress.
All right, so the science is pretty clear. Magnesium can make a real, measurable difference. So, what do you do with this information? Let's get practical and build a real game plan.
First things first, not all magnesium is the same. The form you take matters big time. For recovery and getting that deep sleep you need to repair, magnesium glycinate is the absolute best. It's super easy for your body to absorb. If you're looking for energy before you train, malate is a great pick. But you have to watch out for magnesium oxide. It's cheap, it's everywhere, but your body can only absorb about 4% of it. It's practically useless for getting your levels up.
Now let's get strategic with timing. You can really maximize the benefits here. Try taking something like magnesium malate about a half hour to an hour before you work out to help with energy. Then, after your workout or in the evening, take magnesium glycinate. That's what's going to help flip that switch into recovery mode, ease soreness, and improve your sleep, which, let's be honest, is when all the real magic of muscle repair happens.
So how much should you be aiming for? For most adults, the target is somewhere between 310 and 420 milligrams a day. But if you train hard, you need more. The science suggests aiming for about 10 to 20% higher than that just to make up for what you lose through sweat and what your body burns through during intense exercise.
And that really brings us to the final question. You track everything, right? Your reps, your miles, your speed, your weight. But performance is only half the battle. Recovery is the other half. So are you giving your recovery minerals the same focus? Because something like magnesium, it's not just another supplement. It's a fundamental piece of the puzzle for unlocking what your body can really do.